Good morning and happy Wednesday. And I'm particularly excited this Wednesday, November the 3rd, because if today is November the 3rd, then that means tomorrow is November the 4th. And November the 4th is the date of the first community meal at First United Methodist Church. Now, some of you might be saying, well, why is that exciting? Well, I'm going to tell you. Back in the summer of 2012, one of the small groups at Christ United Methodist Church was studying a book by the Reverend Mike Slaughter entitled Change the World, Recovering the Mission and Message of Christ. As we studied the book for 8 weeks, we talked about things like the missional church versus the attractional church, micro versus macro, making disciples versus making decisions, and courage versus compliance. We were challenged by such statements from the book as, quit worrying about getting people into your church and start finding opportunities to get the people already here into God's service. Or, the mission is not to get the world into the church, but to get the church into the world. And we were encouraged by such scriptures as, He has shown all you people what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God, from Micah. And then from James, religion that God the Father accepts as pure and blameless is this, to look after the orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. We came away from the study knowing that being Christian is not a spectator sport, that to honor God, we truly need to be the hands and feet of Jesus. But what were we going to do about it? Hunger is an unbelievable problem in our hometown of High Point and the surrounding area. As we looked at the area right around our church at the time, we realized that we needed to let our hearts be broken by the things that break God's heart. We knew that the hunger all around us was doing just that. It was breaking God's heart. It was a Monday night, the third week in August of 2012, the last week of the study. As we closed the book and thought, what will we do? Let's serve a free community meal, somebody said. Yes, we'll open the doors to anyone in the community who wants to come in and enjoy a free meal and fellowship. But what will we serve? And how will we have it? How will we advertise it? And how many will we prepare for? Once the idea was born, it took flight, and 3 weeks later, the first community meal was served. And once the first meal was served, the church and the community around us embraced it. One night a month, the folks who lived around us, or the folks who just happened to drive by and see the sign, knew they could come in and enjoy a meal, served to them rather than handed through a window. Their children had a safe place to gather and play while the parents relaxed, and somebody else handled the cooking and the cleaning up. They had new friends that they may only see once a month, but on that night, they caught up and shared each other's lives. As they returned month after month, we asked them to let us know how else we might be able to help them. And there were many times when we stepped in a variety of ways. But overwhelmingly, the most consistent request was for prayer. Please pray for us. As the meal continued to grow, we sought ways to fund it, and the community yard sale was born. Twice a year, we filled that football field-sized gym with everything imaginable, from footballs to refrigerators, from high heels to yard tools, and we gave it away. Just take what you want and make a donation, whatever you can afford. And sale after sale, our hearts overflowed with joy as we watched our neighbors get things for their homes and children that they needed and could not have otherwise afforded. And they paid what they could. And time after time, we made more than enough from their donations to fund our meals and expand our mission, and still have some left over to bless Ward Street Mission or Leslie's House or the Salvation Army. You get the idea. Remember the story of the fishes and the loaves? At one of the meals, we heard from some of the parents who were our guests that the boys on the football team at Andrews High School, which is a close neighbor of the church, were going without a meal before their games on Friday night. These young men were eating lunch and then going onto the field at 7:30 that night to play football with nothing else to eat. So we did what God wanted us to do. We fed them. For home games, they were served hot meals at the church. For away games, we packed chicken sandwiches and fixings. It was an amazing mission that continued until the school's booster club was back on its feet and able to step in and serve. You see, the first community meal at First United Methodist Church is just the beginning. We don't know who's coming, whether any of our old friends will see the signs and come back, or whether it will be all new friends. And we don't know what needs they may present or what opportunities to serve they may give us. But we do know this. Each of them was created by God to be cherished. So we got to get out of our boats and out of our comfort zones and walk across that water as Jesus calls us. I'll see you tomorrow night at the community meal.